Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest hails from Rochford in Essex, which is actually only up the road from me. Whoop, whoop.
Oh,
Already got a thumbs up, friends. Um,
good.
please welcome the hidden gem, Benny Nitro. Benny, how you doing today, mate? You all good?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. No worries. Been wanting you on for a while. Been a fan of you. I actually discovered you, I think it was last year at Project E Wrestling.
Yeah,
And I thought it was a really good show. I thought you did a great job in general, but I was really impressed. Obviously, you've been making a name for yourself as well, especially in the Essex scene, Wrestle Force, DKW, and Project Wrestling. I do want to know, by the way, will there be any more Project shows this year?
absolutely. There will be another show
Yeah,
back end of this year we're looking at. Nothing's confirmed at the moment, but as the promoter, 100% there will be another show this year, and we'll be coming back to Hockley, Greensward Academy Theatre.
mate, the fact that it flew by, it was like 2 hours, I believe, maybe just a bit longer. Flew by, all the matches were fun, all the matches were different. That people have seen before, but in different roles. Absolutely had a blast. And the fact that you're promoted already in your what early 20s?
Yeah, 20. I was 19 when I started it up.
Fucking hell, mate. I'm gonna come back to that because I'm quite interested by that. Also, I want to talk about your wrestling career as well.
For sure, yeah.
But there's so much to touch on as well. But before I do, sort of rewind the clocks and sort of discover your origins, what got you into wrestling to begin with, I want to discuss the All Essex affair that you had with Paul Robinson. The full match is on YouTube. I thought it was
Yeah.
fantastic. I was actually expecting to be more high flying, but it was actually quite stiff, more grounded, and more technical.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, mate, it's brilliant. So if the listeners want to pause, by the way, just YouTube search Benny Nitro, Paul Robinson, Wrestle Force, or even watch it after this episode. But Benny, tell me, how was it for you to be in the ring with Robbo? Because I can imagine he'd been, kind of an influence to you, being from Essex as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a match that I had honestly wanted ever since I was a fan in the crowd, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and my dad was in the crowd at that show, and even he loved it because we watched him at Wembley Arena for Progress back in 2018.
Yeah,
So it was just such a full circle moment. I've wanted that match since I was a fan. It had been on my list for years, and to finally wrestle him, it was great. Yeah, it was really worth it, and it did mean a lot. It meant a lot. It really made me feel like it showed a lot of growth to get to the point where I'm now stepping into the ring with people who I was once fans of.
yeah. That was great, mate. And like when the kid starts attacking him, and there's a bearded gentleman in the crowd as well, just sort of mouthing off to him whilst you're being attacked.
That was my dad.
Hey, your dad! Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
so
really, yeah. Yeah, but he's just slapping the shit out of me and shouting at him.
okay, no, did he tell you he's going to do that before the match?
Yeah, I think Robbo sort of said, I think I said, oh yeah, like my dad's in the crowd. And he was like, where is he? And I think I sort of pointed him out
Yeah,
before the show started or like indicated where he'd be sat. And he was like, all right, sort of hinted, that he
yeah,
was gonna come back to that. But yeah, it was a really good moment actually.
mate, it was quality. It's a quality match, and you've had quality matches as well, not just Wrestle Force, but other companies. But before we do talk about where you are at your career at the moment, what you've achieved this year, and what you're going to achieve in the next 5 years, I want to rewind the clocks and discover, Benny, what made you a wrestling fan in the first place.
It was just WrestleMania 30. It was just meant to be, because I was just flicking through the channels one Saturday morning, age 10.
Hmm.
Remember WWE Superstars on Sky One. It's a UK channel for anyone watching abroad, maybe. And I just saw it. It was John Cena versus Bray Wyatt feud, and it just had me hooked. I used to watch a bit of wrestling back in 2007 with my brother, but this was the time that I was first hooked. Um, it just fascinated, it just hooked me. And I saw WrestleMania 30 advertised that Saturday night,
Hmm.
and I was like, I'm going to watch this. And from that moment, I just fell in love, and I think that was such a brilliant introduction for wrestling. WrestleMania 30 at that time, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, obviously. I think that was really meant to be.
Mate, WrestleMania was fantastic. For the viewers out there that may not remember the card, I'm that sad enough to know the full card. It was Daniel Bryan's Yes-Mania beats
Mm,
Triple H and then beats Randy Orton and Batista in the main event. And then you had
yeah.
Bray Wyatt against John Cena. Cesaro wins the Andre Giant Memorial. Oh, yeah, the
Undertaker
fucking
Street.
streak ended.
Will never forget that.
Oh, I was honestly mind blown. I had work in the morning and I just gobsmacked. I rewatched it again, stayed up for it, fell asleep. I only had like 3 hours sleep, and then went into Aldi. Yeah, went there and doing a shift. I'm just like, did that really happen? I thought I was dreaming. Yep, Undertaker streak's over. And
Yeah,
people out there, I was fake. No, 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 no. You don't understand the importance of that streak. 20 plus years, beating legends. Like, you just don't get it.
honestly, yeah. Obviously, he'd been in WWE far longer than I'd been alive.
Yeah.
Um, but I knew the significance of that moment. I remember I was sat with my brother watching it live.
Yeah.
And I just remember us both going, no, like we knew, even I knew, even though this was the first show I was probably
Yeah.
sitting down and
But
watching,
like the
I knew
promo
that
packages, the
this was
entrance,
history.
and
Mm.
yeah, and Paul Heyman doing the, you know,
Yeah, yeah. Iconic moment.
when did you get into British wrestling? So and you had the exposure with WWE, the American wrestling, and oh my god, yeah, it's bright and it's loud, and look at these giants and stuff. But then you'd watch like the local shows. Did you ever do that, or did you just kind of get straight into WWE and then straight to training?
It's a good question, actually. There was, I don't, there was one show I went to back in, when would it have been? 2007 at the Cliffs Pavilion in Southend.
Yeah.
I remember Dean Allmark on that show. I vividly remember that. But I was like age 4. That was more just like a family night out. I don't remember too much from that.
Did you have like the finger
Um,
foam and Papa like, yeah, boo, yeah,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That great camp show sort of style.
yeah,
I'd say when I got into British wrestling, I suppose when I started training,
mm-hmm.
um, you start finding out about the scene. And then I was sort of a fan and I was training at the same time, about age 14, 15. Um, I'd say, yeah, I only found out about the British scene and become a fan of it when I started training myself.
What inspires you, Benny, to start training?
I just always knew I wanted to be a wrestler. I know a lot of even my friends at the time when we were aged like 10 to 12, maybe 9 to 12, a lot of boys say, I want to be a wrestler. I want to be like John Cena. But
Mm.
I just knew in my heart of hearts that I was actually going to do that. I just knew it. And then I wasn't sure what age to start, but in hindsight, I did start at just the right age where I was really young, but not so young that it was dangerous on my body. And I was 14 when I started training. So it's quite
Yeah,
a good age to start. Just research training schools, DKW Academy, drop kicks as it was commonly known at the time. That was where I started training. It's one of the first ones that come up when I researched it, and that was how I got into training. I just always knew I wanted to do it for sure.
and when you did arrive at Dropkicks DKW Academy,
Mm.
what was your first impressions of the school and the staff there? Well, coaches, so we call them staff.
Yeah, I suppose. I remember my dad had, because I was only 14 at the time, my dad had sort of phoned up on my behalf and
Yeah,
he said, I spoke to this guy called Lucas. He said, come
yeah,
down, come check the school out. And then I remember going down. Lucas is a great friend of mine to this day, but it's so weird talking about it like this. But I went down, just really friendly, really welcoming. Lucas Jackson obviously owns DKW.
yeah,
I just couldn't believe how as a kid, how literal and real it felt. Like that's actually a real wrestling ring, and I'm actually about to get in there. Like this isn't, I've wrestled on my trampoline. This is actually real. This is surreal. This is
yeah.
actually
Like, oh,
happening.
shit, I'm doing this.
Yeah, it was a crazy feeling, but everyone there was so welcoming from day one. And really, even though I must have been the youngest person there, yeah, and certainly the smallest person there. Everyone was so welcoming and really like, come on, get involved. They wanted you to get involved and be part of it from the start.
That's good. That was kind of easy on you from the early days, considering like your age and the age difference that you would probably have with most of the wrestlers that have been there, and they're probably quite
Mm,
experienced at the time. And obviously, do want to give a shout out to Lucas Jackson as well, founder Jackson. He's a great guy.
100%,
Great
yeah.
guy. He's got no filter, but I like him. I get on quite well with him.
Yeah, great friend of mine.
Perfect. Essex as well. It's still there, isn't it? Just to double check. In that specific, that same location, the church.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been there ever since Wade Barrett and Nick Aldis and all those guys. It's been the same location forever, pretty much. It's in Purfleet, Essex, the Fondue Club.
Not too far of Lakeside if anyone's still a bit stuck on the specific location, but just think
Yeah, just
Lakeside.
around the corner from Lakeside.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember that because I went there once. The ring wasn't set up. It was blue mats. We're talking like nearly 20 years ago, mate. So it won't be anyone
Yeah.
you might have known. But yeah, it was like there was no ring set up. It was literally blue mats, doing more exercise. I was like, oh, cool, just cardio. It's like, why can't I do any moves? So I didn't really go back and went Lakeside after. So just fun fact there, little snippet there. But yeah, we're not here to talk about my trip to Lakeside. We're here to talk about your wrestling journey, Benny.
I
So
love Lakeside.
I've been in years, mate. Last I went was the Upside Down House. Right, it's cool. Just losing track, so I'm not going to talk about the Upside Down House because no one cares. But yes, but shout out to Lakeside and shout out to Lucas Brown and shout out to DKW Academy. But Benny,
100%.
when did you make your first in-ring debut? Tell me in great detail about it. Like, did you have friends and family there? Who was your opponent, if you do remember? And
Mm.
just your overall experience and the feedback that you got.
So yeah, I remember everything about it. March 2019. I was just about to start my GCSEs. Um, and opponent was Maverick Mayhew. It was for DKW drop kicks in Langdon in front of about 80 people, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
My family came, my mum, dad, brother, and his girlfriend. God, it was so surreal. I weighed 105 pounds on my debut,
Bloody hell.
105. And it was that surreal feeling of like, this is actually happening now. You've wrestled on your trampoline, you've done training, but this is actually real. You're actually about to wrestle on a
People have
show.
actually paid money now to see you wrestle.
And it's surreal. It's like, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
I remember I got so hyped up and full of adrenaline. I was just running off of instinct almost. I knew what I had to be doing. There are certain parts which sort of my memory doesn't remember that part because I was just so hyped up, full of adrenaline. And I couldn't believe how hard I was hitting without intending to because I had so much adrenaline. Like the scene in Spider-Man when he first gains his powers and he rips the doorknob off and the toothpaste. And he's like, what is happening? Because I just had so much adrenaline. I've never had this much adrenaline, age 15 at the time. And I was just like, it was just this crazy, surreal feeling. And then I finally, it was a short match. I finished the match. And it was just like, wow, I've actually done that now. I'm so surreal. And it will always be one of my proudest accomplishments because, I've done so many matches now. But at the time, it was such a significant thing.
It was your first match, mate. In front of your friends and your family, a genuine crowd there. And you're so excited. I think you probably didn't allow yourself to kind of just stop and sink in the moment. But at the same time, you had a good time. Did you win, by the way?
No, losing effort.
I've got to ask you, who have you enjoyed working with the most at this point in your career?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably Paul Robinson.
Yeah.
For sure. Not just for what we discussed briefly earlier, not just for the personal meaning it has to me, because I used to be a fan of him, but just constructing the match, putting that story together and the way he would lay the foundation, but we can both mesh our ideas together. And it was nothing like, it wasn't just him telling me what to do. He was so willingly wanted me to contribute as much as possible. And get my own ideas in there and mesh them all together, and just such a professional. Exceeded already had good expectations, but exceeded
Yeah.
my expectations of putting that match together. Harry McDonald as well, good friend of mine. I think he's probably my most wrestled opponent. Um, and
He's
we
good. He's really
always,
good.
yeah, we always find a way to tell a new story. You
Yeah.
know, we've probably had about 12 to 15 matches now, but we always find a way to, we've got that chemistry, that in-ring chemistry, and we always find a way to tell a new story. Even though it's the same locations, the same venue, the same crowd,
Mm-hmm.
we find a new way to adapt that. They're probably my favourite opponents to work with off the top of my head. Kieran Lacey, when did I wrestle here?
The Wrestle Force
Yeah, I must have done at some
and Big
point.
Tom at the Project match, the Triple Threat.
Yeah, that was that match, being honest, was actually quite not because of the people, but because of myself, actually. That was really stressful to put together
Yeah.
because I had so many responsibilities that day as the only promoter and organizer of that whole event. And then I'm also wrestling a triple threat match. There's three of us, you know, and that was so stressful to put together. My mind just kept going blank. But Kian and Tom were both really.
Kieran, sorry, I said
Um,
Kieran. So I apologise, got his name wrong.
oh, you meant Kian, right, yeah.
Yeah, I was so bad. Sorry,
No,
mate.
we meant
Sorry,
Kieran
mate.
Lacey.
Fuck's sake. Sorry. Okay,
But
I'm
yeah,
getting
they were
embraced. I'm
great
getting
to
embraced, but just wrong name.
they were great to work with. Um, but it's always a stress when you know you're running the whole event by
Yeah.
yourself, no one else, and I'm wrestling on it as well.
And you actually got like good press from it as well. I think it was in the Echo, wasn't it? Your show.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was in the Echo. That was great. I remember waking up um, a few mornings after the show. I was staying at my mate's house. Actually, we'd been out the night before. I remember waking up and looking at my phone. I got a few messages from people like your thing's in the newspaper, and then I see it on Facebook,
Yeah.
and there's this two-page spread in the paper. And obviously, I knew they were going to do it, but I didn't realize they'd dedicate quite a big article to
Yeah.
it,
It
and
wasn't
that
just like a little
really
corner
meant a
section.
lot.
It's like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
full
I've
focus
still
on.
got that. I'm going to I've got it framed. I'm going to put it in a spot in my wall. You know, I've got it framed.
Nah, you've done well, mate. But tell me about the first show, because unfortunately I didn't attend that one. But tell me
Mm.
more about like putting it together. Just how did you actually just get into your mind? I'm gonna do my own show whilst I'm still a teenager and still early on in my career. Just give me more insight, mate.
Yeah, so again, I always knew that I wanted to run a show. I can't remember the earliest time, probably when I was a kid again.
Hmm.
You know, you do sort of fantasy booking. I do fantasy booking and all that. And I'd book shows in my back garden when I was a kid, so I always knew I wanted to. Um, and I remember I'd just talk about it a bit. I'd just draft ideas just on my phone on the notes app. Um, I just draft ideas like, all right, if I ran a show tomorrow, what would I do? What would it look like? What would be the vision? You know, and then the more and more I started thinking about it, because at first I was thinking I'm gonna wait a few years, get a bit more experience, you know. But I
Yeah.
thought I remember I just had this one conversation with one person, and it was just like a light bulb moment. It was just like, what's stopping me? It was one November in 2022. And I remember again, I get that surreal feeling. It's like this could actually happen way sooner than you planned.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it. I'm going to do this. And I remember I got home that day. Um, I didn't eat that whole day. Uh, I was just literally on my phone planning, like, right, I'm going to run a show. Where do I even start? So I'm asking promoters I know, like, where'd you start? Got any advice? And I'm drafting and I'm looking for venues and I'm, you know, calculating the costs. And I was like, I'm actually going to do this. This is
Yeah.
happening.
And the fact that you did pull it off, like I'm imagine like paying the wrestlers and the talent and advertising and bringing the people in. Oh mate, I can't even do it. Like I couldn't even entertain the idea of putting my own show together, and I'm a lot older than you. So massive credit to you, mate, for doing it and just going, yeah, fuck it. A lot of people, it's pipe dream. Yeah, okay, I might do it. Yeah, change my mind, But you did it. and you execute it well. And then was it two, three shows now?
Yeah, so we've had two shows so far.
Yeah.
Two last year. One was in July
Hmm.
in Billericay Sports Centre, Billericay, Essex. Second one was at Greenswood Academy Theatre in Hockley, Essex. Both great venues.
Nah, nice, mate, nice. I've actually had the pleasure of seeing you live, like I mentioned before. But you actually both a heel and a babyface, and I thought you did them quite well. But I've got to ask you, Benny, what role do you prefer? Do you prefer being a heel or a babyface?
Could I ask, where was the babyface one? Where did you see me for that?
I thought you was a babyface prodigy. That's because obviously you got a pop.
Oh, sorry, the hill. I meant to say, where was the hill
Oh, the
one?
hill. It was that Park Tavern, DKW Academy. You came out and sort of
Right, yeah, yeah,
pushing the
yeah.
kids aside, and you kind of were
Yeah, yeah.
acting up a little bit. You're basically a dick.
I'd say both have their pros and cons,
Yeah.
honestly. I'd say I yeah, it depends what aspect you're asking. I'd say overall,
Hmm. What's more
probably
difficult? What's more challenging?
what's more challenging. At first, being a heel was more challenging,
Yeah.
but now I'd say I find being heel easier, actually.
Hmm.
Now I've got used to it and been having to adapt your in-ring style to being the heel. At first, that was hard because I'd been a face up until that point.
Hmm.
But now I find it easier because it's just I know what I'm doing now, and I do that probably more regularly, actually.
That's fair. That's fair. I actually prefer his babyface, if I'll be brutally honest. I just think there's
Yeah,
more
that's your
fire to
opinion.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm still giving a compliment. I just feel there's a bit more fire to it, and the crowd when you do the shows at WrestleForce, specifically, that they want to cheer you, and I can
Mm.
tell like they're happy to see you wrestle when you do your entrance, and yeah, I just feel like personally, just think maybe a better babyface, but that's just my opinion. It's all about what you want to do, what you're happy with doing. But I think you're good at being a dick as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'd say they both have had pros and cons. It's hard to pick
Yeah.
which I prefer, you know.
Yeah. No, wicked. Champagne Charlie, friend of the show.
Yeah,
Someone I know you've been a tag team partner with, but I've also been
absolutely.
mates. Give me some information about Champagne Charlie. Just let me know, like, what would you like to wrestle with?
Yeah, so we've been friends for a good few years now, you know. Outside of wrestling, our friendship goes well beyond wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, and originally we just got booked in a throwaway tag team match together, just because that's what the show needed at the time.
Hmm.
And then the promoter and both of us really agreed with them that that actually worked really well, really had that chemistry as a tag team, worked well together. So then we become like an established tag team. Then we'd wear like matching coats, but on our own colors. They were like exactly the same design, but mine's purple, his is red. We did of course make our entrance together. Our name was the Champagne Supernovas, a name what he
Yeah.
come up with. Um, and then, of course, the inevitable heel turn was coming at
Yeah.
some point. Although I don't know if the fans ever probably didn't think it would happen as soon as it did. Because we have got a bit of a following, certainly in the local area. There's a one lad who's my number one fan, Alex, his name is, and he's always front row, always makes fan signs. And we have got a bit of a following,
Yeah.
and did at the time, us two specifically. And it was last August, was it? Yeah, it was August. And I sort of, the promoter said, I think uh we're looking at pushing you down a hill route now. I think, you've done a lot as a baby face, want to explore you as a heel now. And I said, well, I think, I've got to establish that I'm turning heel and turning on Champagne Charlie. I don't know if that fits in with any of your creative plans, but I think it's important.
Mm.
And we basically come to this agreement that it was going to be at the end of the next show because he was losing the showcase championship, what he was holding at the time. So it's like we all come this idea together. Me, Champagne Charlie, the promoters, Luke's and Dan, the promoters, and even Champagne Charlie's opponent, Tyson Lee, we all sort of come up with the idea, he's going to lose the championship to Tyson Lee. We'll come up with this idea that he's going to lose the belt to Tyson Lee. And then I'm going to come out like this is the ending of the show, like I'm consoling him, like I'm helping him out. And then I'm going to turn him in, hit a lower blow, attack him, and it's going to go over like crazy. And it definitely done the job. Yeah, there was some really pissed off fans. There's this group of guys, I suppose they're in their 40s. And they love it, they come to all the local shows. And one of them, when he saw me after, he was he couldn't even look at me. I see him in the corridor.
That much with your heel toe, just like that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. He looked at me and he was disgusted. He was genuinely hooked. Like, how could you do this? And that's the best thing you want,
That's the reaction you want. So you don't want just people cheering you after you've just turned heel. It's the fact that you've achieved it. What's the young fan like you just said about Alex, this fan that's always at every show with signs for you?
What do you call a podcast? Why are you guys not listening? Hello?
So Cal knows. She knows the score.
Listen, don't be that guy that misses the podcast. Tune in and make sure you see this gorgeous face and hear that gorgeous voice. George, you're a champ.
So, Alex, I believe he's about my age. His reaction, you see, he's the one exception out of any fan currently, on this planet. Is the one exception who, when I'm a heel, I treat him with respect because he's been my number one fan from day one. No one else has, I've, fans and I'm grateful for them all, whether you're cheering me, you're booing me, you're making a reaction. But Alex, since my first match, he's had a sign for me in the crowd. So I acknowledge him.
Yeah.
I often say, I come out on my entrance and I acknowledge him. I take the sign and I say, thanks for your support. The rest of you all suck. Every single one of you.
You can actually add on to this as well, like the fuel, and just make them more pissed off. Oh, I was talking to him, but not us.
Yeah. Because Alex is my number one fan since day one.
I respect that, man. You've got quite the wrestling brain. Quite for someone that's still quite young into their career and
thank you.
Not too long. Got quite a good brain, good mind for this business. So I have to applaud you on that one, mate.
Thank you.
It's obviously feels like I'm talking to someone that's been doing this for a lot longer than you have, like probably like late 20s or even early 30s. Just how you talk and that, like even like questioning the motive. Why am I going to turn heel? Give me more. We're not just doing it now for the sake of it. Just there has to be.
Yeah. The psychology behind it and the storytelling.
I think that's kind of missing from a lot of wrestling, even on what we see in WWE and AEW sometimes. Just little things. Think about it. That's not doing it for the sake of it, but Champagne Charlie. So going back to him a little bit. Great guy. He's spoke highly before, sort of when we've not been doing his podcasts, and he did enjoy his time with you. But I'm sure you guys will reunite.
Yeah, we were saying recently, actually, very recently at the time of recording. Of course, we had a couple matches after that heel turn against each other, and one was really good. Actually, it was in October last year. In the same venue, obviously, which I turned heel, it had to be. And it was a Falls Count Anywhere match. And that was a really good match. There was one moment, I did not mean to do this, but it could not have been better. I was rolling my kick pad up, really, really taunting, like I'm going to kick his, slow build, like really, and rolling my kick pad up slowly. And then I start untying my shoelaces. And then I honestly lose my balance and I fall out the back of the ring onto the floor. And everyone laughs their head off,
Thinking that you did it on purpose.
Go with it. Like, come on, shut up, it's not funny. And then he gets on top of me and hits a big move on me. And it wasn't meant to happen, but it was people were standing up, laughing, clapping,
Is this footage is it on the DKW Academy account? I need to see.
Yeah, it'll be on their YouTube. It will be I can't remember the title of the show, but it was last October, Westcliff, Benny Nitro, Champagne Charlie, Falls Count Anywhere. It would have been a Halloween show. Let me find the title of it.
I'll find it. If you do, that'd be actually great because I actually want to see this.
Brilliant. Let me try to find it
as a snippet. This is completely
I
thrown
think.
you off, isn't it?
Do you know who Jonathan Frakes is?
Was that?
Do you know who Jonathan Frakes is?
No, I'm not even going to pretend I know.
He's a actor. He was the host of this show, what I love, called Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. You might have seen him. He's in a lot of internet memes where he's in a haunted house and he's asking obscure questions. I've always loved him. He's just such a meme. He's just such a memeable person, you know. Eddie Hearn. You know Eddie Hearn?
Hell yeah, yeah, yeah. First time that's been said. And I've interviewed a lot of English wrestlers. Benny, well done for that one. Fucking yes.
He's such a funny guy. I think
Oh my
I'd
God,
get
the
along
guy
with
from
him so well.
Star Trek. I just had to Google it while she. Yeah.
Jonathan Frakes, yeah, Star Trek. That's what he's
Not
known
Eddie
for.
Hearn.
Yeah. Imagine.
Imagining. Oh. Eddie Hearn, Jonathan
Who
Frakes is
else?
fucking brilliant. Oh mate, who's gonna be third? I can't even predict. This is brilliant.
Khabib Nurmagomedov. In my opinion, the greatest UFC fighter of all time. My favorite fighter of all time.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's an animal. He's a beast.
His mindset's just another level. I think you could learn a lot of lessons from him.
Yeah, just absolutely humble Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
One more person.
Yeah, mate, you can squeeze another person, but my mum would be so ashamed, by the way, if she ever watches this episode, because like she's a Trekkie, and I was obviously brainwashed it a little bit. I didn't really watch it, but she'd have it on all the time. Me not knowing who that is, by the way, when I go next year, won't be happy. So he's squeezing in. So we've got Khabib, Jonathan Frakes,
Eric Stone Street, who plays Cam in Modern Family. Eric Stone Street.
Cam. I've just got into Modern Family. Cam, don't. Is he the old guy that's dating the dad? Basically, the dad and the granddad.
He's the big gay man.
Oh, the couple. Yeah. Oh, they're brilliant, that couple.
Mitch's husband, yeah.
Yes. I actually prefer Mitch. Cam can be a bit annoying sometimes, but yeah.
Cam's my favourite character. So I'd go with him, yeah.
Wicked. Brilliant answers, Benny. Honestly, this completely didn't expect any of them. But thank you for your time, mate. I know we've sort of been back and forth with arranging this, but I'm super glad that we have. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I look forward to seeing you at local show, because I know I will, 100%. And just if you're gonna, can I cheer you even if you're heel or not?
Sure, that's up to you. It might be.
It might backfire.
Yeah, exactly. But it's up to you. As long as you're reacting, that's what matters.
That's it, mate. That's it. Awesome. Where can the fans find you on social media?
So Benny Nitro PW on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. That's Benny Nitro PW. And then Facebook is Benny Nitro -Pro Wrestler.
Awesome. I'll put your social media handles in the description below. If there's out there can like this video, follow you on social media, and subscribe to this channel. That'd be much appreciated. But for now, everyone, take care. Peace, and visit Lakeside.
Thanks very much.
Take care, mate. What you call it?